we came out to continue to protest with respect to our leaders' seriously deteriorating health. And then, as we came out in mass, all of a sudden, the police started tear gassing the protesters and then even shooting live ammunition.
His supporters want him freed. The courts have demanded his release, but Nigeria's government won't let him go. Sheikh Ibrahim al Zakzaky is one of the most prominent Shia clerics in Nigeria, but for the past 3.5 years he's been in prison after being arrested during a raid on his home. Since then, more than 300 members of his Islamic Movement in Nigeria have been killed, including 6 of his sons. Last week, a hearing was scheduled for his release on medical grounds, but it was postponed, and his family says the delay could be fatal. So to discuss this, I'm joined now by Suhaila Zakzaky in Kuala Lumpur. She is the daughter of the jailed cleric, Sheikh Ibrahim al Zakzaky. And in Abuja, Nigeria, we have Ayobami Oyalowo. He's the Deputy Director of Media and Communication for the ruling APC presidential organization. Good to have you both on the program. Suhaila, first of all, what do you know about your father's health right now?
First of all, thank you for having me. And currently his condition is not very good because recently in the past few weeks, they discovered a very dangerous levels of lead and cadmium in his blood. And the doctors are saying that if he's not taken to a proper medical facility for proper treatment, he might actually die. And it's only getting worse because in the last week, he actually had a second stroke in addition to the one he had previously.
The presiding judge, Justice Darius Kobo, has adjourned the sitting.
Yeah.
So they've delayed the decision until July 29th. It's a few days' time. Do you still feel that that's too far away?
It is quite far away, considering that even it was more than a week prior to the first court date that the doctors did say that it's an emergency situation. And 1 week later, after convening at the court, it's been adjourned for 11 more days. Anything can happen in the span of this 11 days. Apparently, with his condition, a lot of the doctors are saying that he has the lead levels in his blood is more than about 400 times the normal amount that should be there. And that's really alarming because the severity of lead poisoning could cause his organs to fail at any moment, and that's really scary. 11 days feels like a extensively long time.
Just to be clear, do you believe that he's been poisoned by someone?
Of course. He must have been. If he's not poisoned by someone, how's there poison in his blood or in his system? You understand?
Okay. Ayobami, before we talk about the politics, before we look at whether you believe that detention is justified or not, do you agree that perhaps it's best if the Sheikh is given the opportunity to travel abroad for treatment?
Well, like you rightly asked earlier, it is clear that there is a court judgment that will finally say whether he will be allowed to travel for treatment or not. Now, if the court has not said he can leave, you cannot force the issue. The unnecessary demonstration, burning down government properties, burning down private cars is wrong, is barbaric, and it is completely anathema to common sense. So if you are already in court and the court says they will sit on the 29th, and you want to go ahead and start burning down properties, I think it doesn't make any sense.
If he dies before the 29th...
I think they are wrong.
Okay,
I think they are causing too much problem for
but
everybody in
certainly
Abuja.
You're sticking to the rules here. You're being very by the book here. If he dies before the 29th, would you feel okay about that?
I don't think he will die. This is just a case of propaganda. They have been used to telling too many lies.
But how do you know?
So I think if the court says he will be, because the court has the record of his health, and I think the justice sitting at the court is not a fool. If he says there's no, he will sit on the 29th, that means he has been properly advised by the medical people on when he can sit. So I don't think there's any danger to his health. I think they're just making this up in their usual way of making propaganda about everything.
I don't want to have this 10-minute discussion all about whether he's sick or not, or to what extent he is sick, right? But I'm glad that we've discussed that for a couple of minutes. I want to ask you, Ayobami, if you believe his detention is justified, and if you believe that the group should be unlawful. Go ahead. Tell Suhaila.
Well, in my own view, he was rightly detained by the authority about 2 or 3 courts. That means he has a multifaceted court cases. And even if one court released him, other courts are still dealing with it. And you must remember this issue or this case originated from Kaduna State. And therefore, it is the Kaduna State government who, and the court in Kaduna that will finally give the final ruling. So coming to disturb people that are living their lives in Abuja is completely illegal. What the group is doing is wrong. We are seeing another group that is tending toward another Boko Haram problem if they are not dealt with appropriately. You cannot go around the street, defacing everywhere, causing commotion. Many people in Abuja now cannot go out of their homes and offices as we speak right now because of these guys. So it is wrong. No country will allow this kind of thing. It is barbaric. It is completely anathema to common sense. And they should be proscribed. You've used the word
barbaric a couple of times. Suhaila, do you belong to a barbaric group?
Yes. It's quite funny, actually, his remarks, because first of all, the protests that have been going on for the past 4 years have been quite absolutely peaceful, and each time when there has been chaos or the said violence, it is because of the fact that the police were shooting at these processions. Even today, about 2 hours before this particular interview, actually, as I was on my way to the studio, I was reading that the protest that is going on in Abuja has been attacked by the police, and many people have been killed. I'm not sure about the statistics, of course, because it's still ongoing. So I have to. It will take maybe about an hour or so to figure out exactly how many people have been killed or how many have been injured. But in each of the cases that there has been any case of violence, it is a violence that has been instigated by the security forces because they attacked these processions. And it is not illegal to protest in the first place. It is absolutely their legal right to protest. And how else are we supposed to voice our grievances to the government that deliberately my father was not arrested like the normal way that people get arrested. Military came over to our house, raided it, killed as many people as possible in their path, including shooting my dad. And I don't think they actually knew they weren't going to kill him. It was pretty much a miracle that he survived in the first place, and kept him in detention. And it took the government about 3 years to come up with any charges that is now what is in the Kaduna State government, the one that is in the court right now. By any standard, what has been happening for the past 4 years, there's no justification for it. I don't believe the government has any justification for it.
Right. So, Suhaila, on Twitter last week, we had a discussion last week about your father's detention. And on Twitter last week, we asked if people thought Sheikh Zakzaky was being persecuted. One viewer called Sulaiman Abdulaziz, who calls himself a political commentator and aspiring senator, said this to us, and I'm going to quote him. He said, "Those calling for his release are the enemies of this country. There has been peace in Zaria throughout his stay in detention. Till now, let him remain there so we can continue to enjoy our peace." And let me just add to that, we don't have time to actually listen to Daniel Bwala, but Daniel Bwala from the ruling party was on, and he said, well, hold on, this is not sectarian at all. We respect Shias in our country, but it's a specific type of Shiism within your movement that calls for vilayat-e faqih, that calls for a kind of Iranian-style revolution in the country that doesn't respect the constitution. That's the problem that the government and Nigerians have with your group. That's why they don't consider you a normal minority expression of Islam within Nigeria's Muslim community. Tell me what you think about that.
Well, first of all, the government has no place in deciding what or who is particularly Islamic, as Nigerian government and the Nigerian community is not. First of all, it's not even consist of all Muslims. We have all kinds of people and all kinds of religion. And according to the Nigerian government and the country is a secular country. And that means everybody is allowed to practice whatever they want to practice. So first of all, the whole justification of it's just this one denomination of the Shia that we have a problem with is not really credible. You understand?
No, certainly. But what they're saying is that you want to overthrow the state, which puts you outside of a definition as a religious group and makes you a political group.
Well, we are a religious group, and we are, of course, a political group. Everybody is everything in our lives is decided by politics. Of course, we do speak about political issues and social issues and religious issues. My father's advocacy had always covered these issues all together because it is all parts of our lives, you understand? And I don't believe that... First of all, the Islamic movement had always been peaceful, and whatever it is advocating, it's basically just advocating that. And the government has no justification to crack down on people for advocating their views, you understand? Because we're free to actually advocate our views. We're supposed to be living in a democratic country where people vote for their own ideologies and things like that. And the government is cracking down on people that they don't agree with their own narrative or their own perspective. Our own perspective, apparently, is what the government is claiming that they don't agree with. And that's quite disturbing, because if the government, as it is so-called democratic, if it was democratic, then it shouldn't be cracking down on people for having any ideology, no matter how much it is against theirs. You understand?
Okay, very finely. Ayobami, we've heard from Suhaila, and I wanted to give her as much of an opportunity as possible to fully express what the group believes. Has she convinced you in any way?
No way, she has not. Because if you go to Gelesu today in Zaria, the people don't want that man back. And you will ask yourself, what sort of religion is this? I mean, we have no problem with Shiite. Shiite people practice their religion in Nigeria unmolested because they are normal people. But when it comes to these Islamic movement people, they are completely abnormal. They don't practice just religion. They block roads. And Abuja people can now see what the people of Zaria suffered for years. These guys go on the road, block the entire road. Even if you have an emergency, medical emergency on the road, whoever is in that car is going to die because they will not leave the road. They are so barbaric. They block road. I mean, how do you, for the sake of whatever is sensible, go on a government road and tell other motorists not to pass because you are having a procession?
But you're talking about...
you do this thing every day.
You're talking about blocking roads as barbaric.
You bring in women, you block roads.
Ayobami, I don't have much time, but I'd hope to...
How do you
listen,
block
I
road?
hope to invite you both back on the program. But you keep on talking about blocking a road as barbaric. Certainly. In a country where Boko Haram actually mutilates and murders, I think that...
We are in the world. We are in the world. Do people block the
use
road
of the word
religion?
Certainly. I mean, a lot of people block it as a form of protest.
These guys make the life of
Black Lives Matter do it in America. They block the road in America.
Can I finish?
Certainly, they block the road in America as a means of political protest. I just don't think you can call that barbaric. Listen, Ayobami, you can't finish because I have to move on. But I'd love to invite you both back onto the program sometime soon. And I thank you for joining us here.
Okay, if you say it is not barbaric now,